This video might not be for everyone, which is exactly the point of the video. I want to talk about game reviews and opinions in general. The main example I'm going to talk about is a game called Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, which I will refer to as just Ancestors for the rest of the discussion for obvious reasons. But why I want to talk about this game is because of the reviews it got and how I almost let the reviews decide my opinion of the game for me. Now, this game isn't anything like the most recent divisive game, The Last of Us Part 2, which was bombarded with hundreds of thousands of reviews, both positive and extremely negative. But Ancestors still had a similar reception on a much smaller scale. Currently sitting at only 232 public reviews and 71 critic reviews on Metacritic, Ancestors averaged out at a 64 overall critic review and a 5.6 overall public review, which, to be fair, isn't a terrible score for a smaller game and a new studio's first title. But what I found interesting about this was that once I got the game and started playing it, I immediately fell in love with everything about the game, despite its mediocre reviews, and I couldn't help but question how it could have gotten such low scores. The obvious reason is that not everyone has the same taste, and not every game is for every gamer. We can't all expect the majority to love our favorite games, or even just popular games in general. Everyone experiences things differently, whether it's a game or not. As we grow, we find our own passions, interests, and dislikes, which form us into the person who we are today. So to me, I've been finding it harder to solely rely on reviews of games because someone reviewing a certain game might have a completely different taste in entertainment than I do. And all this is completely fine. Obviously, people are entitled to their opinion, and it's only natural for different people to like different things. The reason why I think this is worth talking about, though, is because it seems to me that there's a lot of emphasis on game reviews today, especially from popular outlets like IGN, GameSpot, Kotaku, and many others, including well-known YouTubers. There are videos about before you buy, extensive review videos, podcasts, articles, and even Metacritic, where all said reviews are collected and averaged out, making a lot of us feel like we have to check these out before we even consider spending our money and time. While this is all relatively logical, especially given how many games are out there, how valuable our time is, and how expensive some games are getting, it can sometimes be unfair to some games that get less attention or unnecessarily negative reviews for whatever reason. To me, video games are a genuine form of art that are extremely hard to accomplish in most instances. They take countless hours to create, the dedication of at least several people, and a lot of money even to just pay for someone's time. I don't think many people go into making a game to do it half-assed. From what I've seen in watching behind-the-scene videos on game development, it isn't something for someone who doesn't really care because it requires a lot of commitment, most of the time years. So what I've learned to do from understanding more about making games is to at least appreciate the work put into such a demanding task. Even if it's something I don't see myself playing, I still look at almost every game and think, wow, what an achievement. Which can be hard to do for some people because there are so many video games out there that it almost seems easy to make games. No matter what platform you use to play games, looking through any store's library, you can search up hundreds of thousands of games in all varieties and genres. But all these games are mostly made up of complex coding, extensive art design, voice recording, sound effects, level design, writing, etc. And we just look at games as another title that we can try out and eventually get bored of. In a way, not even appreciating what had to be done to even think about releasing said game. Now, obviously, it's not always the case that every game is some truly inspiring work of art that was filled with emotion from passionate game developers. Sometimes games can be money grabs, or they can even be half-assed, especially with the way that the gaming industry is going. Video games are a booming industry that seem to get more successful year after year, with new technology, more interest in entertainment from our younger generations, and the growing world of esports. It's hard to not want to become successful in anything you do. The goal usually in life is to make money and as much of it as possible. So with that comes some stereotypes where people assume the main priority becomes money instead of the actual passion of the project. Like most things, when a business becomes bigger and more successful, they tend to care less about the quality than of quantity. Now, this isn't always the case, but for a lot of companies, they start to lose interest when they take into consideration the cost of employee wages, expenses, marketing, etc. It can become too much sometimes, and then all the focus is put on money instead of the final outcome of their passion project. But again, to me, video games just seem too expensive and time-consuming to not care about while making them for the most part. You see time and time again where people a part of big game studios will leave and start their own studio to make their passion project, which is exactly what the founder of the studio behind the game Ancestors did. Patrice Desilets is a Canadian video game designer who helped create the Assassin's Creed series, but later decided to start his own video game company, Panache Digital Games.
Ancestors is not about unfolding the mission we've put out there for you. It's you, your curiosity, that is driving the show.
When I first found out about Panache and their first game during the 2018 Game Awards, I was immediately interested. The trailer was led by saying inspired by true events, where it depicted early humans that were dodging various animals, climbing trees and hunting in a group, all of which looked super cool to me and extremely unique. This game wasn't meant to be a Game of the Year winner or anything like that, but the fact that a group of game developers who are brand new as a studio were attempting to make something so different was so amazing to me. This isn't your average game. There aren't many games about early humans that are meant to be both an experience of playing and learning. This game makes you think while you're having, in my opinion, such a fun time as these agile monkey-like people. You're not just picking up a gun and shooting your way through an objective. You're not just slaying another monster for the sake of it, or beating your way through 100 different players to win the match. This is a game where you can actually relate it to life and essentially experience what our oldest ancestors lived through. I know that doesn't sound fun for everyone. This isn't as easy to pick up as something to play like Fortnite or Call of Duty or whatever popular game you might want to say. But to me, this is an accomplishment in the video game world. When I played through this game, I didn't want to stop. I would play into the early morning even when I had to work at 7 a.m. I would get so excited as the game and my characters progressed, and I would look at every new location and evolution of the characters as if it was what actually happened millions of years ago. This game is a perfect example of what video games are capable of, how different the genres can be, and how there really is no limit to what can be done in this industry. Ancestors fascinates me above everything. It is something special that is not just entertaining but also educational and even philosophical. It brings forth fresh ideas from a fresh studio that I believe has nothing but potential. So what I want to say overall is that as biased as I might sound about this game, what I think should be the lesson we all take away from game reviews, games, and just life in general is we should experience the things we're interested in before letting others persuade us not to. It can be difficult to justify paying for something we're not totally sure of, especially in today's economy. But if you have even just a small interest in something, you should try it out yourself, because even if it's something as silly and simple as a video game, you could be missing out on something that could change your view on the world, bring you joy for even a short period of time, and in some dramatic instances, even change your life. I just want to say thank you for watching the video. It really does mean a lot when you're first starting off having people notice your stuff. So if you did like the video, then I hope that you'll come back and watch some more of my future stuff.